Ladies and gentlemen, this great meeting is gathered here tonight to hear the policy and faith of fascism.
That was fucking chaos.
That was anarchy.
Okay, so shall we begin then?
We just did our first experiment in anarchy.
Yeah. The very first TradNatblr podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Is it recording now, Andrew? Is it recording? Okay, it is recording.
That is first podcast.
Welcome, both TradNatblr people and other faggots, to the first TradNatblr podcast. I'm Maple Leaf Forever.
Yep.
Bruna.
I am Wunderbar, also known as Wunderbar.
Pranam. I am Samraj.
Okay.
I am Austin. Oh, fuck you.
He's not really part of this, but he's here anyways.
Our guest member.
He's our first guest, I guess.
Yeah, he's our first guest.
Glory, hallelujah.
Okay, so today we will be deconstructing the early warning signs of fascism.
And who wants to go first?
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe Samraj reblogged it first, so he can have the first say.
I think the actual fascists should go first and talk about this.
Okay, well.
That's Maple. Maple, it's down to you, the host.
Okay, let's take a look at the very first one. Powerful and continuing nationalism. First off, implying that's a bad thing.
Yeah, first off that. Second off, implying that's unique to fascists.
Yeah. Okay. That one's pretty fucking simple.
Yeah.
Thunder, you next.
Yes, okay, well, let's see. Let me come up with some high-quality deconstruction arguments in my head. And by that I mean actually go to the fucking blog where it's located. Okay, here we are.
Yeah.
Disdain for human rights. Well, if by that they mean we do not appreciate foreigners coming into our country and acting like they are superior, yes, we will take their rights away. However, fascism actually gives greater rights to the people of the nation. It promotes, it's just good rights for the people. It lets people do what they want, assuming it is not hurting society.
Yep.
It is the basics of what a society should do, which is give rights to the people, but not, rights to people who have not earned them. People who are not part of the nation.
Yeah, if you're not part of the society, you don't have rights in that society.
You can visit, but you certainly won't be given, like if you immigrate there, you certainly won't be given the same privileges as those who have lived in there for generations.
Whose ancestors basically created the society.
Yes, of course.
I mean, I do believe that second or at least third generation immigrants and onwards should be considered, equal to more or less to the citizens whose ancestors have lived there from before. Because I mean, they've grown up in that society, and as long as you can clearly show that they're not a threat to the nation, then you should be fine.
You want to do the next one? Identification of enemies / scapegoats as unifying cause.
That's a natural human behavior that we all do. I don't even know where to begin with that.
Like leftists do it even more than we ever could.
We do, yeah.
Let's see. You got your white privilege, your whole cis thing, heterosexual,
white cis male privilege.
It basically just going evil cops too.
Right.
They're making cops scapegoats as well lately with the whole Ferguson fiasco.
And let's not forget the evil media moguls who actually support them.
Oh yeah.
Can't forget them. You gotta purge them. Let's not forget the Jews too, because Muslims are so much more tolerant, affable.
Right.
Yes.
Then those nasty Jews.
Yeah, those nasty Jews. Not that I'm fond of mass immigration from overseas, but at the same time, use them far more as a scapegoat. Often because they want to offend the Muslims who will vastly outnumber them.
Yeah, or and who tend to be a little more prone to violence as well.
A little more. That was a joke. Okay. Next
Yes,
one.
I make a joke. Yes, it's funny, you know.
They're funny. So,
Okay.
next
Supremacy of the military. Again, implying that's a bad thing. And it's really supremacy either. It's just
The
it's
military
not
is definitely meant to be
supremacy.
strong. That's its
Yeah.
job.
it's
the job.
putting the military on the pedestal which it deserves.
which it should be. Yeah, which it should be on. Obviously, supremacy of the military in the sense that like the military is like entirely running the society is wrong. Like as you can see from like Pakistan, for example, like
Yeah, but that's not fascism.
That's not
military unit.
yeah, exactly. So,
One thing to have like a very powerful military that could be defined as supreme. It's another thing to have it ruling the nation.
This one is also incredibly vague.
Oh yes, rampant sexism. I love this one.
I love this one.
I think it's pretty great because traditionalism and sex are not the same thing. It's not discrimination, actually. I believe that women and men should have the same rights under law, but that we shouldn't try to coax women into going into jobs that they don't want to do, you know? Let them decide what they want to do, but at the same time, try to maintain a model where you have, husbands and wives and families that work well together.
Because that's what we've been doing for
And it's like
thousands of years. It works.
it's like if a woman wants to be like, a firefighter or whatever, go ahead. But you have to be able to.
If you can do it adequately, yes.
If she can, do all of the physical tests,
Breaking down doors, etc. Breaking down doors, putting up fires, cutting down doors with axes, carrying people out.
Yeah, kids carrying people that they can't do for the most part, which is like the most important part of the job. Because saving people's lives it always takes priority number one for firefighters over actually putting out the fire.
Right. I mean, hey, if you can physically like manage to do that, then more power to you. Like honestly. Yeah, but the importance is you can't. The main point is you can't like put people's lives at risk for the sake of like political correctness or whatever nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I say Sam takes the pedestal on the next one, going with the order we've been going. Controlled mass media.
Controlled mass media.
Implying a bad thing.
I do think in some sense it is. I mean, obviously there needs to be censorship of certain things and like. And libel, like completely like unsupported libelous claims do need to be punished. But if we're talking about like controlled mass media, this is pretty much like symptomatic of every human society that's developed media
and been successful too.
Yeah, like I mean, you're trying to say that like if you're trying to say that only fascist societies regulate the media. Or control the mass media, you're entirely wrong because in the modern democratic societies that we live in, or at least nominally democratic societies that we live in, the same thing is quite common. Like I don't understand how you can be so blind as to not understand that's symptomatic across all modern societies nowadays. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the communists are just as guilty of this, if not more so.
Oh, more so too, because they don't even let the Germans actually let Jewish newspapers run throughout the era when the National Socialists controlled Germany. Not only that, but there's a difference between not letting a paper like the National Enquirer run, which prints crap which nobody really cares about but still sells somehow, and letting corruption stories pass, which should be done. So that's something the media is good for, exposing corruption, letting reporters investigate that.
Yeah,
it's another thing.
Journalism is a fantastic thing.
It's another thing to have this stupid celebrity media we have today. It's blind, it's empty, it doesn't teach people anything except be vain and want the things that their idols have.
And another thing with the controlled mass media, if they're talking about freedom of speech, well, until you can have, a guy go up on TV and say, "Hi guys, I'm a fascist," or say something opposing fascist views, and not get like attacked and taken down for it or whatever. then
Yeah.
you don't have free speech.
Free society,
You don't
yes.
you don't have free media. Is what
Exactly. Actually, like, the thing is, like what I don't understand is how fascism has come to be so vilified in modern parlance. How communism is like almost entirely just fine and well. Like
Yeah.
I imagine it's probably because the Allies were allied with Soviet Russia after World War II, and they essentially wrote the narrative or whatever came after that, the historical narrative for what came after that. But it's still rather disappointing.
It's incredible how fascism is so vilified, like you said. Well, communism's fine because, like, on my college campus, there's only one political group, and that's the communists. No one else has any sort of group. There's not even a fucking liberal group.
Are there
There's
anarchists?
No.
Oh.
I think if you look at the communists on my campus, they all look like fucking anarchists.
Right.
Like they just look like skateboard punks and and chain socialists.
That's good. I love that term, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great term.
I've been trying to use that more often now. It's a great term.
Okay, obsession with national security.
If you, are you
So are you not interested in protecting your country?
Is it so? Should we just let people bomb constantly? Like, should we let people fly planes into buildings? Should we let them, use RPGs to blow up government convoys?
Do you want to die?
Even if you call it an obsession, I'd say that's a healthy obsession.
Yeah.
Ensuring the safety of your people.
Yeah.
Isn't
exactly.
that the single most important function of
a
government?
That's why people came together, so they could scavenge food and protect
This is
themselves
why
from
government
predators.
exists. It is the purpose of government.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's different, like, there's times when it can be exploited, like what the Bush administration did after 9/11, but at the same time, the main purpose of the government is to protect the people.
And that's something that, like even Eisenhower warned about, the military-industrial complex, where there's such wasteful spending on unnecessary things because like senators are giving like subsidies or whatever to weapons manufacturers in the areas that they represent because lobbyists are getting paid for that. But I mean, obviously it's important to regulate that sort of wasteful spending and make it more efficient and more useful. But if you're saying that bringing about the security of your nation, especially when you're surrounded by countries that hate you, is an obsession. I think there's something seriously wrong with your mentality, and you need to get that checked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I am next, it seems. Yes, so we were just religion and government are intertwined. Well, number one, no. No. That's not the same as... It's one thing to have laws based on religious tenets, which is natural. We see it in countries throughout the world.
That's the basis of your culture. That's right.
When religion and government are entwined, it's called a theocracy, not fascism.
Exactly. They're trying to imply a theocracy is simply where, a religious leader rules the country and often institutes religious law of a sort. Yeah. In this case, that is not accurate at all.
You can, I'd say, compare the two. Like, instead of... and it's the religious leader instead of, like, Der Fuhrer or Il Duce or whatever. And you have, instead of the party, you have, like, the church. But it's still a different system. I mean, it's a theocracy could have any number of economic beliefs as well. You could have a socialist theocracy. You could have like an ANCAP style theocracy.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine just like
that would be hilarious.
Oh god. But yeah, it's like it's completely not the same. It's one thing to have an official state religion or like a protected religion or a main religion, but it's another thing to have the religion rule the government. Yeah.
Or have like the leader called like Defender of the Faith as one of his titles or something.
Right.
Exactly.
But just because the Queen has the title Defender of the Faith doesn't mean that religion and government are completely intertwined and are inseparable.
More than often not, it'll just mean that they've engaged in some sort of pro-religious activities. It doesn't mean that they are a pope or something,
Yeah. Or if if you have like some sort of national council where people or representatives of the different sections of the nation are meeting or whatever, and you have like the local bishop or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
The closest things nowadays have to theocracies are Israel, the papacy in Rome, the Islamic State, and
Pakistan.
Iran.
Well, I went a good point actually, but
Iran,
they're still less
Yeah.
violent than Pakistan is.
Yeah. Actually, okay. So to talk about like modern examples of like these allegations of like entwinement of religion and government, I'll give the example of India right now with our new Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And the thing is, like, everyone accuses the BJP, the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is the major party that just won a lot of elections. They're sort of comparable to the Republican Party in the U.S. in that they're social conservatives, and their main prime ministerial candidate Narendra Modi won the seat of prime minister, and the reason he's in the news a lot is because in 2002 there were these religious riots in Gujarat while he was while he was chief minister there, and it was like a group of Muslims started it off by like burning alive a train of Hindu passengers returning from a pilgrimage, I think, and then Hindus retaliated in Gujarat by starting riots and like finding and killing Muslims, which I obviously deplore. I don't think that's a reasonable, rational, human way to handle that situation. But Modi was criticized for not doing enough, even though the Supreme Court like eventually like ruled him ruled that he was innocent of like promoting that sort of violence. But nowadays, like Indian leftists still love to bring that up as an excuse for how or for why he should be considered a fascist, quote unquote. Even though he himself has said in public that that the truth of the truth of Indian civilization is that we always considered that the truth was one, or the wise called it by many different names. And so there's a place for everyone in Indian society, and that's true because like even our ancient enemies, the Zoroastrians, eventually came to India seeking refuge from from the Muslim invasions, and they found a home in India, and they're one of the most successful communities. My own uncle is by marriage is a Zoroastrian, and I can tell you they're one of the most intelligent and industrious communities in Indian society today.
Yeah.
And so people love to put this allegation of fascism or religious fascism against him because the BJP party largely runs on the ideology of Hindutva, which literally means Hinduness. But the way they sort of describe that is that if you're a person who lives in India, that makes you a Hindu. That's what originally the word Hindu meant. It literally meant it was geographical, or rather like an ethnonym for anyone who lived east of the Sindhu River, which the Persians pronounce as Hindu. And so that's basically what it means. And even though some of their policies are obviously based off of religious things, the really strange thing is that India does not have a uniform civil code. What that means is that Hindus have a different civil code from Muslims. The Muslims are apparently permitted to marry more than one person. Men are permitted to marry more than one woman because that's in their religious text that they're permitted to do that. And so the Indian Civil Code sort of reflects that by giving them different rights. And I think the BJP is one of the parties that ran on the platform of wanting to put forth a uniform civil code, but certain parties are against that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Actually, I have one more thing to add to the religion thing. There is clerical fascism.
yeah,
Like it is a thing that exists, but
it's never been
like actually, I've only ever met one. I actually kind of made him that way because he was a Mormon friend of mine, and I was explaining fascism to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds totally great." And so I made a Mormon fascist.
Well, fascist conversions, Mormon edition.
Yeah. So I don't know, and he's going on to be a priest, I believe. So so maybe one day the head of the Mormon Church will be a fascist.
Oh, I guess the next one is Sam. Corporate power is protected.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what to say with that. I mean, I'm not a big pro corporation person just because I've seen the way companies like Monsanto and I think like BP and stuff have done terrible things. And I mean, the corporations have done bad things throughout history, but that's why they pass like anti-monopoly laws and things like that. Yeah, certain regulations.
Like-
I mean, yeah,
In Germany and Italy during the 30s and 20s. In the 20s, for example, during the Weimar Republic and before the Italian fascist power,
yeah,
there were corporations that were massive, and they would just exploit the people nonstop because
Yeah,
they couldn't
right.
afford to stop it. They couldn't protest. They had to work constantly.
exactly.
It was
right.
terrible. Then in the 30s, when they got control and implemented state capitalism, things turned around quite a lot. They shut down corporations and banks and such that exploited the people,
Right.
but they allowed ones that did not to work with the government to improve the nation. For example, lots of military equipment that is famous today, and they still exist today, was made by the Krupp family. Today they make elevators, mining equipment, everything you could ever imagine, but they used to make big guns. But the reason that they were kept around, even though they, Hitler didn't like the military-industrial complex because they profited from killing people.
Yeah,
But they
exactly.
were good to their employees and the German people.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
gave
I mean,
them very good benefits
I think
early on.
if you have like a nationally conscious a corporation that's run by people who are economically nationalistic, it should be fine. Like as long as you're not outsourcing jobs to foreign countries for whatever reason, and you're creating jobs within your own nation for your own people, then there shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Well, yeah, China. That's where they get most of their money. We give the money straight to them so they can
Exactly.
fund their massive expansion into like
And
Tibet.
so they can kill their own people.
I used to know a goddamn Chinese guy who lives in Canada, has no association with China, hates the Chinese Communist government, and
Well,
he completely supports what they're doing in Tibet. He completely supports what they're doing in Xinjiang province.
Wait, so he hates the Chinese government, but he supports what they're doing in Tibet? And
Yeah, because he thinks the Dalai Lama instigated stuff and that they
Is he
deserve it.
fucking serious?
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot. He runs a Facebook page.
See,
I forget what it's called.
If he was in it just for the colonizing places thing, then that's fine. But
It's one thing to genocide people completely.
yeah,
Wow.
sorry.
Yeah.
People are just
It's
Or-
but okay. He brought it to a next level with the goddamn Xinjiang province. Where the Muslims live.
Yeah,
Who are, like
exactly.
half white, half Chinese.
Yeah.
Let me
Well,
tell you,
they're
man.
like Turkic, aren't they?
He thinks that they deserve it just because a bunch of radicals murder up people. I don't think the Pakistanis deserve to be slaughtered because
That's
a bunch of
ridiculous.
them,
That's
have killed.
even if according to certain statistics, even if the majority of Muslims are in support of terrorism or terrorist activities,
Yeah,
that still doesn't justify the mass murder of all of them.
Yeah.
That they're still human, and there's still people among them who are human.
Yeah, I don't support the Jewish domination of government, media, banks, finance, etc. But I wouldn't support massacring them. I would support deporting them, but I'm not going to
Israel.
support. Yeah, they have a nation. Go to it.
Honest- Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I were Jewish, I would move to Israel because that's the country of the Jews.
And in fact, I'm actually supporting the thing to pass a bill that would make Israel a Jewish state. Now, will I believe the Palestinians deserve some of their land?
Yeah.
I would say the portion that
I
isn't
do think
coastal.
they do.
So honestly, I have to say sometimes it's like
It's weird.
sometimes it feels like it's too late for people like the Native
Right.
Americans. It's
Yeah.
like they
Yeah,
can't
honestly,
have a country anymore.
They can't
it's
recover.
too late.
They can't
It's
recover.
really impossible for them at this
Yeah.
point, honestly.
So
Because,
it's pretty much the same for the Palestinians. It's like, guys, it's just too late now.
It seriously is. You're gonna have to with Palestine. I mean, obviously, they do need their own land to some extent, but I don't think balkanizing Israel is going to be the answer for that.
Yeah,
The
I
still have a
would say
chance.
what I would do if I were Palestinian or whatever is I would move to Jordan or one of the other neighboring countries. Or like how populated is the Sinai Peninsula? Can't they just can't we
Well, that
move
belongs to
as
Egypt,
many
I
of
think.
them in there as
That's belong to
possible?
Egypt.
That belongs to Egypt, and that's up to them.
You want to know that I do support
Recently,
the
I think Egypt has
organization,
been
though?
in support of Israel.
South Africa. Give the Boers independence if you guys don't want the Boers there. Just give them a
Or fuck,
Or
we'll take them.
What are we recreating Bantustans again?
Yeah. Well, I know a ton of South Africans who live in Canada, and they're great people. They become doctors, they become,
Yeah.
financiers. They're great people. They're hardworking. They're smart.
It's like if we
yeah.
have to sacrifice South Africa, then let's just move them all up here to Canada.
Anyways, we should probably move on to the next one. We don't want to
Did we even answer that one?
We answered it. We just went further in depth. We went off course like a guy.
Yeah, we went. That
Right.
will happen in these
Fucking
podcasts.
no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair warning.
So,
Labor power suppressed. I'm supposing that
whose turn is it?
I think it's yours, but I'll read it.
Okay.
Labor power is suppressed. So unions, laborers.
Well,
And
no,
that's dumb.
no, it isn't though. It actually fucking isn't, because now, like, Marxist and socialist labor unions are taken down, but
Because
there are like
their power.
state created labor ones. Like I don't remember what it was called, but Nazi Germany had one.
They improved working conditions
hell
so
is it
much.
called?
Like that was the main reason their economy prospered. It's because everybody would work because the conditions were great at the time. They were the best in the world. Nothing could match them. Yeah, except for like Henry Ford's factories in the U.S. That was
Yeah,
the closest match they had.
But that's just because Ford was like a goddamn economic genius.
Yeah.
Like
Very much.
have you heard of what he did that one time, where he raised the wage for all of his workers,
Yeah.
so that every other factory would have to raise their wages, so that they could all afford to buy his car.
I
Right.
know. He's a goddamn genius.
That is
Like,
pretty smart.
damn, man.
Wow, dude.
God bless Henry Ford, true hero of industry. And he was a very smart man too. He recognized that there was too much abundance of foreign control in the economy and the government. He had a newspaper devoted to it. Sadly, he died before the war started.
Oh, wow.
No. Anyways, Samraj, any comment on that? The labor power is suppressed. I know you have experience with the the Marxists in India.
No, I mean, I honestly can't say much on that because I haven't learned too much about economics. But all I can say is, like, I mean, I'm not a fascist myself. I'm a monarchist.
Yeah.
But even then, I do think that, like,
Some ideals. Yeah.
yeah, like in most right wing societies, I would say there is this sense of people should be able to follow carve out their own economic path. Like that's a basic human right. We should be able to live our life and make our living the way we want to, as long as it doesn't harm other people.
Yeah. And there's not much else to say on that. We don't like Marxists, and we actually support giving them better conditions.
Labor power is protected, but socialist labor power is suppressed.
I'm in support. I'm in support of human rights for workers.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a basic standard of living that all people in a country should be able to afford.
Yeah.
And that like there should be a certain level of, like, a standard of living that all people should be able to expect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And let's see. Okay. Who's
Disdain.
next?
It's
I don't think we're even.
I'm good. No, I'm
going
gonna. I'm gonna enjoy doing this because this is an easy one to tear apart.
Okay. You
Disdain
take.
for intellectuals and the arts.
Oh,
No,
God.
it's some
No.
intellectuals. It's the Marxists,
Oh,
socialists,
yeah.
anarchists, and the undesirable ANCAPs who are oi they goy. Trust me, it'll work perfectly when the government doesn't exist and we're still capitalist.
Right, though.
And
No,
the
yeah.
arts. No, I love art.
That's-
Actually, I
that's
love.
way-
Yeah.
I love
That's
Renaissance.
extremely incorrect.
I
Yeah.
love Renaissance paintings. I love Greek architecture and Roman architecture.
the Romans. Yeah.
I really like the fascist Italian art and
Love-
architecture of the
Yeah.
period.
I love.
Like-
yeah.
Like
it was all
they made this one plaza where it had like the Roman style fucking mosaics in the floor and shit, but it was like, black shirts and trucks and stuff.
But you want what I don't
It was
fucking like?
great.
I don't like goddamn brutalism, modernism, realism.
Fuck
Well,
that.
okay, some forms of realism are
No,
okay,
realism is interesting. Some
Some of
types
it,
of
yeah.
some types of abstract art are interesting, but
Some.
like
most of them
like-
are shit.
if you're going into
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're going to like postmodernism
Mhm.
or deconstructionism or like
Yeah,
some types of like minimalism, it's too
not
much.
really art. It
God.
evolves into cubes and stupid
Yeah.
goddamn
Minimalism?
concepts.
Minimalism belongs in the trash. And I'm so sick of seeing it everywhere.
I like minimalistic design. I like minimalistic design because I feel like it has virtue as design, but to create like art and art objects that are minimalistic is just stupid.
Yeah,
There's no effort there.
Yeah. Oh, I really hate it when they'll just paint a canvas one solid color and call it art. That is the epitome of stupid. When you have artists
and then pay like $10 million for it.
And then you have artists who can paint like almost photorealistic images on the street, and they'll sell them for $50, $40. They'll sell them real cheap. But then you get some asshole in an art gallery who will sell something for $40,000.
I saw a comment on that the other day.
Yeah, I did.
Funny.
Yeah, I think we all saw it.
Yeah, but like again, in response to this thing, speaking myself as an artist and a poet, like I really disagree that that fascism supposedly disdains intellectuals and the arts. I mean, some of the greatest works of art in history have been produced
by
as a result of sponsorship by churches or by monarchs, by royals, by nobles. Like that's where a lot of patronage came from.
I would like to put the final nail in the coffin on this one.
Go ahead.
First, disdain for intellectuals. Goebbels was an intellectual, and for the arts, Hitler was an artist.
They're trying to imply that all intellectuals are hated equally, but there's different types of intellectuals. They seem to neglect that.
I mean, if you can even consider Marxists intellectuals.
Oh, we have to give them some decency. At least
I suppose
they think, but they don't put effort into it.
If they
did put a lot of time and effort into bullshitting to get their PhDs.
That is true. Well, I don't know how much effort they put into that, considering like everyone else was also pretty.
Well, they have to read a lot of bullshit to brainwash them. So.
That is true. I suppose we can give them that.
Okay, next one. Sam is up. Yes.
Obsession with crime and punishment. Ooh, this is a great one.
Ooh, shit, guys. Justice.
Oh man, yes, I support social justice. I think people who commit crime should be punished for them. Like that's a fact. If you rape, you should die. Yeah. If you murder people, you should die. If you commit terrorism against people, you should be publicly executed and hung up as an example for not ever doing that again because you're a piece of shit.
Do what they did to the guy boss. Draw and quarter him, put his head on a pike in the gates of London.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, no mercy for terrorists. No mercy for rapists. No mercy for murderers.
Oh, pedophiles.
Pedophiles, of course.
Just like with the obsession with national security, obsession with crime and punishment is perfectly healthy. Wanting the guilty to be punished is perfectly natural.
That's a natural human tendency.
Yeah. Like what are the first laws? Eye for an eye and
Goddamn. The Assyrians
Hammurabi, and Hammurabi's code.
Like exactly. And as a psychology student, I can tell you this is very innate to human behavior. Like there's just one developmental psychologist, Renee Bayarjian or something, and she studies human development in children and stuff. And according to one of her studies, like human children have an innate sense of fairness about distribution of treats and stuff and things like that, about fairness. From a very young age, like starting at 18 months, or 21 months, they're able to distinguish that if someone did an equal amount of work as someone else, they should receive equal amounts of rewards. And I think this, the idea of crime and punishment, or justice rather, is a very innately human concept.
Yeah,
it's what separates us, I believe, from animals.
Rampant cronyism and corruption. Just no.
That's not just.
What's the basis for that? You have here's an example. You have a few assholes in Italy who are in the mafia who cause disruptions in supply lines because they would sell goods and shit, but that's it. Germany had zero corruption because the society was completely united. They had so much national unity that corruption was. Why would you be corrupt? It's bad for the nation. That was the thing.
Yeah. And consider this: Mussolini is the only person to have ever broken the mafia.
Yeah.
He actually defeated it, and it entirely fled over to America, and then came back after he was defeated.
Yeah. And Yeah, goddamn, Japan too. They destroyed the Yakuza.
The Yakuza,
but after
yeah.
the war,
Yeah.
they flourished because there were so
Right.
many leftover arms and stuff that
Yeah,
hadn't been used.
right.
You know, they had ammunition everywhere that they could sell on the foreign market and the home market. So in the end, it actually turned out the other way. Corruption was rampant in Japan and Germany after the war.
Okay.
Now, they may be good today,
Yeah.
but that's mainly because they are countries that have very good work ethic, you know?
Hmm.
They work
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very,
So, I
very
mean, like you can't just pinpoint that on fascism alone. That's something that happens amongst all sorts of human societies,
Yeah.
like democracies, monarchies.
it just happens the least in fascism.
It
Like
happened,
if you're a piece of shit, then you'll be a piece of shit no matter what kind of government you have.
it happened in China after the Opium Wars. You know, they had gangs of opium thieves, warlords, you know, all types of things.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
very good. Anyways, that was an easy
Okay.
one.
So, the very last one, fraudulent elections. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Why do you need an election in fascism? That's not what fascism is about.
I mean, first of all the people that were elected as fascists, they were elected by non-fascist governments at the time,
Yeah.
right? Like Mussolini was
He was elected.
elected democratically, even though, I mean, you know,
No, he was appointed.
Well, he was still had a lot of popular support.
Yeah,
Majority.
the
but
same with Hitler.
the
I mean,
march
Hitler-
on Rome was not a democratic election at all. It was him giving a display of power, which made and then had the democratic prime minister not do anything. So the king was like, "Okay, I think Mussolini's probably better than this asshole who didn't do anything when bands of armed men were descending on the capital."
Well,
So actually, I have a question. What happened to the king of Italy after Mussolini came to power?
he was
the
actually
king
disposed of after
was
World
still
War
there.
II.
The king of Italy basically just sort of
Hang on.
sat around and didn't do very
Even
much.
if they didn't
during
like each
the
other that
past
much.
And
Okay.
then after Mussolini was thrown out by the king in
Right.
like 1953, the king again basically just sort of sat around while more democratic people did things.
Mm.
And then after the war, there was a referendum on whether they should have the monarchy. They voted no,
Oh,
and then he left, and I don't know what happened
they
after
gotta
that.
reinstate the monarchy, man. They gotta reinstate it. It's culture. Thank you, Wanderer. Okay. Somebody in chat just said that. Anyways, I think we've thoroughly debunked that piece of shit.
Yeah. So, shall we write a new one then?
Oh,
I think we should. Yeah.
Well, let's just do the opposite.
I'm writing it in a Word doc. Early warning signs of fascism. What should be the first one?
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Well,
Hold
we
on.
just got to keep powerful and continuing nationalism, but we got to change the words around a bit. So powerful and binding nationalism sound good.
Powerful and binding nationalism. That is good.
Mhm.
Disdain for human rights.
Now, how about? Jeez.
Jeez. How about what?
Economic catastrophe.
Here, I'm posting the link to a thing.
protection of the
No,
rights
no,
of
that's,
citizens.
that's a different. I'm thinking
like-
of the warning signs leading up to fascism, not
Oh.
actually fascism.
Okay.
So let's do that.
Okay, the warning signs leading up to fascism. Okay.
Yeah,
No. We'll do the same thing they did, which is supposed to be.
like a person, an individual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
So how about disdain for
Disdain,
leftists?
disdain for false or for human rights or for an idea under false pretenses of human rights. Ideals under
Right.
false pretenses of human rights.
Okay, disdain for ideals under the false pretense of.
Human,
Say it again.
human rights. Human rights
Disdain for ideals under the false pretense.
of human rights. Yep.
Okay, just making sure I got that right.
Okay.
Identification of enemies and scapegoats. Identification
Identification
and
of roadblocks.
elimination.
Identification of roadblocks to national unity and development.
Oh, that's actually a good one. I actually like.
Damn good. Okay, identification,
Of roadblocks
roadblocks
to
to
national unity and development.
national unity and development. Damn fine. Supremacy of the military.
Respect for the military and its warrior culture.
Respect for the military and warrior culture.
Well, let's see. Respect for the military culture. Well, rampant sexism. No promotion of traditional ideals.
Traditional gender roles and
Yeah. I think ideals sounds like more encompassing.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
everything. You have everything.
yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Ideals.
Yeah.
Controlled mass media. How about that's a little more difficult because it's hard to make that sound
it depends on the individual, government also.
good. Yeah.
It's just kind of you can have a free media, but you could also have a controlled media.
You can have
depends. Yeah.
you can have like a sort of free media thing, and you can have a state media as well. The two can coexist.
How about a term to define the media that is the opposite of celebrity media, like something that is anti-celebrity media?
Yeah, anti-sensationalist media. Anti-YOLO journalism.
Yeah.
Anti-sense.
Oh, reality TV really gets me. I hate that shit.
Agreed. Okay, religion and government. Religion is respected.
Religion is not. However, religion does not take a central place in political.
But is respected
endeavors.
Culturally,
Yeah.
Ideally.
In-
No, I wouldn't say ideally.
Religion is respected for the firm basis it provides the national culture, but is also not permitted to overtake the political discourse.
One second.
But maybe we should make it a little more pithy, so it's easier to read.
Okay, I have religion does not take central place in politics, but is respected for its role in culture.
Yeah.
Corporate power is protected.
People.
Business. Well, here's the simple solution to that: business and business that is business and social activities that are beneficial for the people are the only things allowed. You know?
Basically, what I said. The term I like to use is economically nationalist. So, economically nationalist and socially beneficial corporations are permitted to flourish.
Economically nationalist and socially beneficial
Corporate entities are allowed to flourish.
Yeah, they're permitted to exist.
Corporate entities are permitted to exist. And labor power is suppressed. Wrong. Let's see.
Wrong.
Labor power is promoted, actually. Let's see. Labor power is promoted, but not allowed to
not allowed to be
to disrupt.
Marxist labor is forbidden. The rights of workers are promoted.
But let's try and avoid things like forbidden. Let's try and show people what they do get, because that's how you draw more people. It's better to attract flies of honey than to vinegar. It's easier to okay, so labor power is
Promoted.
promoted.
I was gonna go with something like, but not allowed to disrupt production or society.
What is it? The subversion of legitimate labor issues by Marxist tendencies or towards Marxist causes is not permitted.
Okay, so how can we write that? Labor power promoted.
Labor power is promoted, but its subversion towards Marxist ends is not. Towards Marxist disruption is not.
That works.
And disdain for intellectual.
No.
Yeah.
Non-degenerate intellectual activities and artistic pursuits are not only permitted, but valued as a necessary part of the human experience.
Yeah. And in fact, it'll be funded. It'll be everything. It'll be
Not-
promoted
not-
in society.
Non-destructive.
Not
know.
okay, so not degenerate.
Perhaps non-destructive would be better.
Non-destructive, yeah. Non-destructive art is
Traditional art sounds good.
both promoted
Is not only promoted, or is not only permitted, but also valued as an integral part of the human experience.
It's an integral part of the human experience. Okay. And rampant cronyism and corruption.
Corruption must be destroyed as it is an infection towards the national progress or national development.
Corruption is destroyed as it, interferes with national unity, development, and the economy.
Yeah.
Corruption should be destroyed for the development of an efficient bureaucracy.
Okay. Corruption. Okay, I have corruption is stamped out as a disruption to national unity, progress, and what was the other one?
And economic development.
There we go. Economic development. And fraudulent elections. I'm simply going to put there are no elections.
There are no elections.
Democracy doesn't work in the long term.
Thanks, Obama.
Okay.
You guys know where that actually came from, though? The Thanks Obama thing.
No, actually, I don't.
There's this town there was a show about this little girl in Japan who moves to this town called Obama, and in one of the screenshots, she falls and hits the ground, and then she cries, "Thanks, Obama."
That's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, how are we looking for time?
It appears
46 minutes.
46 minutes, not bad.
That's good. Yeah.
So,
That is decent.
We have completed the primary goal of this first podcast.
Podcast of sorts, right? Yeah.
What shall we go from now?
How about
How about since we decide what we'll do next time?
Or since this is our first time, let's maybe we can do our introductions in a little more detail, explaining like who we are and what exactly our political standpoints are, how we got into this.
Or we could do that. Or actually, I think how we got into it would be a good topic for another podcast.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll do them next time, maybe.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good.
it works. Well, podcast.
All right, so Maple, do you want to start with introducing yourself and your political views?
Alrighty then. I'm Maple Leaf River. I am a Canadian nationalist, and
Imperialist scum.
yeah, and an imperialist. I believe that Canada should expand and continue our glorious history of colonization.
Based maple syrup empire.
Yes, and that basically a lot of my beliefs come down to that since all empires fall, the British Empire has fallen, and it's our place as colonies to take up the banner and become basically British Empire 2.0.
2.0.
Yeah, British Empire to maple syrup boogaloo.
Yeah, maple syrup boogaloo. Perfect.
Yeah. Who's going next?
You.
Wonder, I think.
Okay. Well, let me get my mic close here. I am Wunderbar, and I am also a Canadian nationalist and a fascist, and that's not derogatory, of course, as you just learned. I'm from Western Canada, as opposed to my friend Maple here, who's from the East.
Yo.
And I like mountains and skiing a lot. That's about it for me. And
East
I
side.
believe in expanding too, mostly into Alaska and the northern U.S. when they start collapsing. And that's it for me. Sam, you're next.
Alright. My name is Samraj, and I am an Indian nationalist and monarchist. I used to be a fascist at one point as well, but I realized quickly that monarchism was the traditional form of government amongst my people, and the one that worked best throughout history. And so I realized that monarchy would be the way to go for India. I am actually an anti-imperialist in the sense that I don't believe that opposing cultures or like different cultures should necessarily become part of the same empire. It's not only destructive on the part of the people or the culture that's been conquered, but also infectious to the one that's doing the conquering. I do believe in a sort of in some sort of cultural isolationism. Obviously, that sort of perfect cultural vacuum is not possible, and it's probably not the best way to live either. But I do believe in mitigating unwanted or undue influence from, or especially destructive influence from outside cultures. The only possible, possibly imperialistic views that I might have is that I do believe that Akhanda Bharata, or rather the like, how do you translate it into English? Like unbroken India, which is the entire South Asian the Indian subcontinent, should return to being one state, to being one power. Because as we've seen throughout our history, it's only when we've been unified and not broken up into independent principalities that we've been able to stand up against foreign powers. Unfortunately, with Pakistan being what it is now, it would not be to our best interest to try and add that to our power, to our country again. I feel it's probably back in '47 and asked to join India again. Apparently, there are some movements in the state of Sindh and in Balochistan where people are feeling marginalized by the largely Urdu-speaking political majority in Islamabad, and there's separatist movements going on there. And while I'm generally anti-separatist, it's also Pakistan, and they're a failed state, and so they basically deserve that.
Well,
Way to go, Sam, making us look bad. Such depth,
that
such
looks
detail.
like productions. And that seems to be it.
I think
All
that's
right.
good. Yeah,
So shall we
That's good
say
for
goodbye
Sam.
then? Yeah.
I think so.
Sure.
Let's all sign off.
All right. So see you all next time, TradNatblr and faggots.
Yeah. God bless you, faggots. God bless you. Have a good night.
Ayushman